City Council, August 22nd, 2022, regular meeting of the City of Coolidge City Council. I'm calling the meeting to order. First order of business, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Norma, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Eric Daniels.
Here.
Councilmember Tina Kaufman.
Here.
Vice Mayor Steve Hudson.
Here.
Mayor John Thompson.
Here.
And Councilmember Jackie Henry. Here. And Councilmember Tatiana Murrieta, who is absent. We have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you, Norma. Presentations, item number 3, monthly report by the City Coolidge Chamber of Commerce. Good evening, Lynn.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. It's really great to be here. Feels like it's been a while. I'm reporting on May and June's reinvestment. The new members is 8. We have Tully's Flower Shop, Florence Hospital, Dottie's Deals, Nail Bite Nail Beauty Bar, which is a mobile unit, so Betty Boo's Bakery, Ruggeries, Ace Hardware, did I say that right? The new owner of Ace Hardware, Pinal Central, and Stacy Gramazio. We had 17 reinvestments. Our visitor count was 254 visitors in the month of May and June, 10 in-state visitors, 7 out-of-state from California, Minnesota, and Nebraska. So year-to-date referrals we've made has been 4,939. Casa Grande updates are for the month of May, they had 4,316 visitors, and in June, 3,741. Year-to-date is 40,367. Pinal Gem and Mineral Museum for May and June, they've only been open 1 day a week. So they've, in May, they had 180 visitors. And this doesn't count the ones that we turn away on the days they're not open. I just can't tell you how much draw that museum is being. And in June, they had 57. Year-to-date, they've had 949 visitors. We've been working with Better Human Coalitions to bring borderland produce here, which we will start doing that in November. We're also working with them on the graffiti program, which you guys know they had just been out there really making it happen. I don't want to steal your thunder, Mayor, but we've been working with you and Rick on the art club with the local artists, and the schools we're really proud and excited about. We have a ribbon cutting Monday with Jackson's Candle Company. We hope you can join. So we sent an email out, so you should be able to see it. It's on our Facebook or our website as well.
Okay.
Any questions?
No questions? All right. Well, thank you, Lynn. We appreciate it. You guys are doing a good job over there. Okay. Moving to call to the public. Is there anybody in the public that wants to come and address the council? If so, come up and state your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes if you need them. Okay. Seeing nobody approach, we'll move out of call to the public, and we'll move into approval of the minutes. Discussion and action for the City Council regular meeting of July 11th, 22. That's the only one. Does anybody have any corrections, comments, additions, deletions? If not, I need a motion to act on this. Okay. There's a motion or an action in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that carries. Thank you. Now we'll move into another public hearing to receive public comments on a proposed amendment to section 602 Dog D of the zoning code, adding contractor storage yard as a conditionally permitted use In the general business zone, C2, this is a public hearing. Mr. Lopez?
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Hudson, council members, this is a request to amend the C2 section of the zoning code to allow a contractor storage yard as a conditional use permit. We were working with a local business and C3 allows it, but it's a heavier. Every so often, we notice that we're missing something from our zoning code. So all this would do is add a contractor storage yard in Commercial District 2 with conditions. So the P&Z can set, the hours of operation, the type of equipment, all that, if it's near anything that might be bothered by it. So the conditional use is a great tool to allow additional things to happen on commercial properties to help our businesses without actually changing the zonings to a harder zone. And so that's all this is we do this every so often when we come back and propose a change like this. So all this does is adds conditionally permitted uses under that section D. We add number 26 contractor storage yard in the zoning code. So this is a public hearing portion of it, and then later there'll be the ordinance that adopts and makes a change. And P&Z heard this, and they passed it at their, let's see, we heard it, I believe it was the August 10th meeting we just had. And they recommended approval.
Mr. Lopez, could you kind of give us an example of the difference between the two and the three, the C2 and the C3? What kind of items? I'm just curious on what are we allowing that we're not allowing already?
Give you some examples let me give you some examples right out of.
Sure.
So in C2, which is part of, right. Yeah, C2, it talks about the purposes of provision. The purpose of C2 zone is to provide for low-intensity retail service outlets which deal directly with consumers for which the goods and services are intended. The uses allowed in this district are to provide goods and services on a community market scale located in areas which are served by arterial street facilities. And then it goes on, antiques, apparel, appliance sales and service, art supply stores, automotive parking lots and garages are allowed in C2, just as a general permitted use. And then convenience stores, those are all C2 uses, hotels, hospitals, quite a few offices, or quite a few uses, and then some of the.
Gilbert, a while back, and you were sitting right down here on the end of the deal. We had one with, I forget his name now, but he drove a Cadillac and he had some problems. It was here on the end of Coolidge Avenue. One side there was a place where you could go in and take your cans and weigh them. And on the other side, there was a big junkyard. And there was some issues with some zoning on that. Because there were some things that they could do that the city didn't want them to do, but they could do anyway.
Mayor, that was industrial zoning, though. That was
Okay.
I-2. That was the heaviest.
Oh, I know, but what I'm saying is somebody had allowed them to do some things in an area where we didn't want them to do it anymore. And I guess what I'm trying to get to is, I appreciate the fact that Rick thinks we need to know, what the zoning code wording is, but I'm asking you is, I know they'll be able to do all the same things they can do in 2. What can they do in addition to 2 when they get to 3?
Well, 3, they would be able to go to,
Because I'm just concerned that we're gonna get another one of these gentlemen that come in and they do a lot more than what we kind of intend them to do at certain times.
and well, Mayor, this doesn't take them to 3, so this actually prevents that so we don't have to exercise that as an option. So 3 would be, automobile repair shop, blueprint shops, boat repair, bus terminals, and in C3, you have equipment storage yards, rental yards, feed stores, including the yards. So it's just heavier in the commercial. From here, the heavier one, then you go to light industrial, light 2. So all this does is in C2, other things that are allowed here, like automotive repair shops, but there are a lot of restrictions on it, where the P&Z can say, okay, you can only operate for these many hours. You can only have this type of equipment. You can't have large back track hose that to bother neighbors. You can only operate from 7 to 4. So the conditional use permit allows P and Z to apply those type of conditions on any use that's listed in the conditional use by controlling it. So if something happens and they violate that, we can come back and actually remove the conditional use permit and take it away.
Okay, I don't know where they're gonna use this type of zoning, but if it's somewhere where we have residential
It's just an option.
adjacent to it,
Right, it's an option for P and Z to consider it. They don't have to approve it, somebody can apply to do it in any C2 zoning. If it looks appropriate, they may approve it, if not, they won't approve it. But it's not a straight out right under the C2.
okay, thank you.
You're
Anybody have any questions?
No, sir.
All right. There's nothing further, then we'll move out of the public hearing. Move into business items for consent. Does anybody have anything they want pulled off the consent agenda?
No, sir.
I'm gonna get a drink before I start this. Thanks, Norma. Okay, item number 6. Consider approval of the 2022 street closures from September 27th through October 3rd for the city's annual Coolidge Day celebration, parade, and carnival being held September 30th through October 2nd. The annual CHS Homecoming Parade set for Thursday, September 29th, and the Electric Light Parade set for Friday, December 9th. Item 7, consider approval of declaring certain non-used item of city-owned equipment and property as surplus, and authorizing staff to proceed with removal from city inventory of same. Item 8, consider approval of revised job description for the streets maintenance / labor or position. Item 9, consider approval of amending the streets maintenance laborer position from range 31 to range 33 in the city's FY 22-23 salary plan. Item 10, consider approval of entering into a cooperative purchasing agreement based on Pinal County IBFPC 19034 and subsequent renewals for supply, delivery, and application of pavement maintenance materials between the City of Coolidge and Cal Portland, Inc., and subsequent renewals in the amount not to exceed $90,000 for the FY 22-23 street work program. Item 11, consider approval to unfreeze the capital sales tax fund for the purchase of 16 portable radios from Motorola utilizing Arizona State Contract CTR 046830 with Motorola Solutions in the amount of $153,183.08, 5 radios for police department and 11 radios for fire department utilizing the capital sales tax funds. Item 12, consider approval of entering into a contract with Axon Enterprise, Inc. for the purchase of drone licenses in the amount of $32,639.15 over the next 5 years. Item 13, consider approval of entering into an addendum to support and maintenance services agreement between the City of Coolidge and DBT Transportation Services, LLC, for the purpose of providing maintenance service of the all-weather observation system, the AWAS system, at the Coolidge Municipal Airport. And item 14, consider approval of the claims for the month of July 2022. Okay, if there's no questions, I need a motion to act.
Mayor, move to approve items number 6 through 14 as read.
14?
Is there a second?
Yeah, second.
Okay. I don't see, okay, we can vote on, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that item carries. We'll move into business regular items, item 15. Ordinance number 2209. 22-09. An ordinance of the City of Coolidge, Arizona, amending section 602D of the zoning code to add contractor storage yard as a conditionally permitted use in the general business services C2 zoning district.
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Hudson, council members, this is the actual ordinance to add the contractor storage yard to C2. So I'll answer any questions you may have.
Anybody have any questions?
No, sir.
All right, then I need a motion to act.
Mayor, if there's no further discussion, I make a motion, we approve ordinance number 22-09 as read.
Okay, there's motion second, Norma.
Councilmember Kaufman? Yes. Councilmember Daniels?
Yes.
Councilmember Henry?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hudson?
Yes.
And Mayor Thompson?
Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 16, consider approval of entering into an entertainment agreement between the Coolidge and Sun Valley Rides for the purpose of providing carnival services during the 2022 Coolidge Days celebration. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Generally, this would be on the consent agenda, but I felt it necessary to kind of give you guys an explanation on why we're using a different company than we've used for at least as long as I've been here, which is 18 years. So roughly, probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, I got a phone call from our carnival vendor who I'd spoken to before, and we were all set to go for this year's show. And he explained to me that they wouldn't be able to do our show this year, which gave us roughly 8 weeks to figure out what to do. So we got on the phone immediately. Lynn left, but she helped out as well as my staff. And we found this carnival. You know, my staff did their due diligence as far as looking up their safety ratings and called other counties and towns that they've done shows in. And we felt comfortable bringing this company in front of you guys and asking to enter into a contract with them for this year's Coolidge Days. The contract is the same contract as far as what percentage we get from their show that we've done in the past with our previous carnival vendor. But I just wanted you guys to know that's the reason that you're seeing a different company than you normally would as it pertains to the carnival at Coolidge Days. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, good work, finding somebody to fill in that quickly. I do have one thing I want to ask you again. It's going to sound kind of crazy, I guess, in a way, but last year I was down there and I had 3 or 4 moms come up and complain to me about, and I think you know where I'm going with this. They bought these passes. They thought their kids could ride on all the rides for a certain amount of money, and they would go to certain rides and they got turned away. And then they found out that they had to go and pay extra to ride on certain rides. So the passes that people were buying were told that were for all the rides. And I don't know that it was even a city, the carnival, I know the chamber has one of them. But so they were kind of being told one thing, and then when they got over there, they paid so much for this one ticket. They were supposed to get them on everything, and it didn't work that way. I don't know that we have anything to do with any of that. We talk to them and make sure that, because, you know, if you have 3 or 4 little kids and you go over there and you think they're gonna get to ride everything, and then you have to come up with a bunch more money that you probably don't have, that's kind of tough.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And all I can say is that won't be happening again.
Okay.
I don't know that had anything to do with why that carnival's not coming, but that won't be happening again.
Yeah, because, well, I was standing with the county attorney's guys when it happened, and that's
Well,
all we
and-
need.
And while we get a percentage of what the carnival makes, which is great, you know, it pretty much
Sure.
funds the event and then some. The way I look at it is we're affording them the right to make quite a bit of money over that weekend. They can do what we ask them to do for those 3 days.
Okay, because I'd never heard of them before. For the first couple, I thought were,
And it had never been that way. They bought this new ride that I guess at the last minute decided they wanted to charge some extra money for. But that wasn't cleared through the city and that wasn't in the contract. Um, But all I can say is that won't be happening again, regardless of this year or who does our shows in the future. That's not something that'll happen again.
okay. Well, thanks. I just was wondering because it seemed kind of strange to me when the first couple of them told me, but then they kept coming.
Yeah, it was a, I don't know, dirty pool, if you want to put it that way. They shouldn't have done that.
Okay.
So is this the same company that the chamber used?
This is the same company. So the chamber did it a little bit different. They go through, for a lack of a better term, like a carnival broker. There's a guy that they call that kind of does a little bit of legwork for them to find them the best deal and the best show. It just happened to be that these guys were available, but yes, they did the Chambers show last March. And it says in the discussion, we were gonna have it a week later, but we moved it up a week, because they are gonna kind of go out of their way to get here and do the show for us. But like I said, I mean, they're not bending over too far backwards because they stand to make quite a bit of money over the weekend.
Yeah, that was gonna be one of my questions, that, did we check up on this company to see how the chamber used them evidently?
Yeah, my staff did their due diligence. They've been in business since the 1980s, so not quite 40 years, and they've got a good safety rating. That's always my biggest concern. I'm not concerned with who will give us the most money. I'm more concerned with the safety rating on these shows.
And Ricky, what about the price? Is it gonna be about the same as the other company? Is it gonna be,
The wristbands and everything are exactly the same,
Okay.
but there won't be an extra fee for certain rides.
Okay,
So
thank-
if anything, it'll be a little bit cheaper this year for the consumer.
Thanks, Rick.
Anybody else? All right, if there's nothing further, then I need a motion to act.
Mayor, move to approve item number 16 as read.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Ricky.
Thank you.
Item 17, discussion on authorizing the city to submit an application for participation in a request for qualifications for on-call engineering services. Discussion only.
Good evening, Mayor Thompson, council. What I've brought before you is a request for qualification. It's a pretty broad request. Normally, we wouldn't bring this before you, we would put it out. But I just kind of wanted to explain what's going on with this. So this is for engineering services that will benefit the entire staff of the city of Coolidge. It's called to get multiple engineers for multiple staff all throughout the city. Let's see, it covers general engineering, wastewater projects, groundwater wells, storage systems, roadways, transportation studies, traffic engineering, parks and rec planning, geotechnical information, environmental consulting, structural, architectural, electrical, wide variety of stuff. We plan on putting this out. It's a call for multiple engineering departments. So it's not just one particular department that knows all of these things. We're looking for engineers that are specialized in each one of these areas. This will come in. City staff will go over each one of these companies that comes to us and who's interested, and we will pick them based on their qualifications and how well they performed, and always price of what they'll do. We're putting them on an on-call contract so we can pull these engineers at will for our different projects, and this will help speed up when we have road projects coming up, like the Attaway project that's coming up, that we need a road engineered. We will have these engineers on call already. We already know their qualifications, everything about them, and we can pull these, and we won't have to go out and find a particular engineer for a particular job. We'll have it ready to go. So I can answer any questions that you have.
Well, that was interesting reading, Mr. Navarro, but I see that it goes up to what, 90,000, 99,000, and then they can make an offer up to that amount.
Yeah, so they can, if we have a project that's coming up and saying, we'll go Attaway Road, from 287 to the north. They have a project coming up, depending on what it would cost to engineer that project. If it was anything over the dollar amount, then it would have to go before council to see if we even wanted to get that engineering done for that project. If it was under that dollar amount for the engineering, then staff can move forward with getting the engineering. The actual project and everything would still come before council for approval.
Well, see, that was part of my concern and a long time ago in another world, when we were doing I think it was a sewer line out towards CAC, and I just saw our attorney cringe, because there was a lawsuit over it. And I know that Mr. Lopez was on the council then, and he recalls that we had certain engineers involved that were supposed to be helping the city that ended up testifying against the city. But I guess then we went into some policies that made it to where the council had to approve. I guess what I'm saying is the city manager took some liberties, and it wasn't this city manager, but took some liberties that, regarding this type of situation, and hired somebody that, kind of didn't do what we wanted him to do, and then they ended up testifying for the other team, or would have testified for the other team. He was their witness. So I'm just wondering, don't we have policies that you can only go so high, I believe, it has to be approved by the council, and usually you have to go out to bid. I understand why you're doing this, but what I'm wondering is, yeah, and you can, in reading that, you can continue to do it as many times as you want.
Correct.
And that's the way that people used to get away with doing it. Well, you worked for the county all those years. So that's the way you used to get away with not going out and trying to, you could just go up to a certain level. And if it was, I don't remember if this was 90 or 99, but if it was 99, you could go up to 98 and you could do whatever you wanted without anybody really knowing.
Yes, and right now the policy is anything over $25,000 needs council approval. That's easy enough that we can still do that. We can change the dollar amount if that's what council wants to do. That's not a problem. This is something that I put together. That way we can help move some of these projects forward. So it's whatever your guys' prerogative is.
Well, I don't think it's a horrible idea in the right, it's like, well, I'm not gonna say anything about a weapon, but I guess it's like if you have a tool in the right hands, like a nail gun. You don't want to just give a nail gun to somebody and just tell them to go do what you got to do. So, but if it gets, if somebody could abuse it, or have a friend that was in a position where they could just hire their company and they do bad work and they still hire them. I mean, we wouldn't know about it until everything fell apart. So I have some concerns about that, but I also see some advantages to it. So that's why it's discussion only, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can put this out, see who actually comes to bid, and go from there. They're not really placing a bid. They're just coming in, they're giving us their qualifications, and that's what we're looking at. I'm hoping to get a wide variety of people to come through and actually give us their qualifications. So there's lots of stuff going on, as you're aware, with the wastewater treatment plant, with all the changes that are coming. I'm trying to get this out there so it's kind of all encompassed. We can get these people so they're on an on-call status, and we can move some of this stuff along, and we're not constantly digging up contracts and finding bits and pieces for engineering.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
I'd like to say, I think it's a good idea to get a list of folks together that are willing to work with us on these projects. And as long as we're doing it in advance of needing them, that should give us ample time to vet them and make sure that these are the folks that we want to give our business to. And if we go in with that understanding, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, and that's part of the process too. When they come to us, they actually have projects and everything that they've done And so they come with some background information, so we check up on them and see if they actually did a good job, and it was engineered properly, and it wasn't something that just they threw out there and they had tons of problems with it down the line.
Okay, anybody else?
No?
He answered all mine the other day.
Okay, well, see where we go with it.
All right?
Thank you, Ben. Item 18, resolution number 22-14. A resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Coolidge, Pinal County, Arizona, declaring and adopting the results as provided by Pinal County of the primary election held on August 2nd, 2022.
Yes, good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor Hudson, and members of the council. Before you tonight for approval and adoption is the resolution that declares and adopts the results of the primary election that was held on August 2nd, 2022. Based on the results were provided by the county, and based on those results, the following was determined. The total ballots cast at the primary election were 2,024. There were no ballots rejected at that election. The total votes cast for the candidate for the office of mayor were 1,669 for John Thompson and 35 unofficial write-ins. The votes cast for candidates for the office of council members were as follows: 1,133 votes for Tom Bagnall, 660 for Ryan Benz, 707 for Tina Kaufman, 704 for Shane Leonard, 989 for Tatiana Murrieta, 706 for Adriana Saavedra, and 3 unofficial write-ins. So with this being said, it is hereby found, determined, and declared that the following 3 candidates did receive a majority of the total number of ballots cast, and therefore are hereby, will be issued certificates of election, and that is John Thompson for the office of mayor, Tom Bagnall, council, and Tatiana Murrieta, council. It is also found and determined and declared that the following candidate did receive sufficient votes of the electors to move, to be placed on the general municipal election ballot that will be held on the 8th day of November, 2022. And that individual will be Tina Kaufman, and she'll be issued a certificate of nomination. It is also hereby found, determined, and declared that the following 2 candidates are within the statutory limits necessary for a recount, and to determine which candidate will be placed on the general election to run against candidate Kaufman at the November 8th, 2022 election, and that's Adriana Saavedra and Shane Leonard. Also, the total votes cast for Proposition 462 for the local alternative expenditure limitation home rule options were as follows: 1,228 yes, 603 noes. Therefore, the proposition passes. So with those being said, we are bringing the resolution for council to canvass the election results based on the results that were provided by the Pinal County Elections Department. And I can entertain any questions you may have.
Anybody have any questions?
No, sir.
Mr. Fitzgibbons, you're our legal counsel. You know that certainly there were some questions involving the election. Is there any legal questions about this? This is, I mean, there's not much we can do. We don't call the elections and we don't count the votes.
Right, Mr. Mayor, members of council, you entered into an intergovernmental agreement with Pinal County to conduct this election that was entered into February of this year. Based on that agreement, they were to run the election, tally the votes, and then give us the tally of the votes, which they have now given us by their canvassing of the election. I think they did that August 12th, and therefore, since that time, I don't think I've heard of any challenges to the canvass that Pinal County did. But I think at this point, this is more of a ministerial act for this council. I mean, I think based on statute, you shall canvass the election, and this is like the last day. So we have to, we have 20 days from the election. The election was held on August 2nd. And so we're asking that council canvass the election, and that's all you're doing by this resolution. You're confirming the votes that Pinal County provided to us. Attached to the resolution are going to be the tally sheets that we got from Pinal County, justifying the information set forth in this resolution.
And if we didn't do it, what would be the consequences to the city?
If you didn't do it, then potentially we could have 3 council seats open and the mayor's seat open come December, and we'd only have 3 members of council and they wouldn't be able to act. So this is that's why I say it's more of a ministerial act of this council to canvass the election, because 3 positions were voted in and received a majority. And so those council members, those people that did receive that are entitled to go, for those positions. And that's all we're doing is by certifying that. And then we're also saying the last position will go to to the general election.
Okay, anybody have any questions?
No, sir.
All right, then, I'm gonna need a motion to act.
Mayor, if there's no further discussion, I make a motion that we approve Resolution 22-14 as read.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second, Norma.
Councilmember Henry,
Yes.
Councilmember Daniels,
Yes.
Councilmember Kaufman,
Yes,
Vice Mayor Hudson,
Yes.
and Mayor Thompson.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Item 19, resolution number 22-15. A resolution of the mayor and the city council of the city of Coolidge, Pinal County, Arizona, certifying the facts requiring a recount of the vote for the for the Coolidge City Council, held on August 2nd, 2022, and authorizing the city attorney to file a petition in Superior Court accompanied by said facts for a recount by the Pinal County Elections Department and declaring an emergency to exist.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor Hudson, and members of the council. Before you tonight for approval and adoption is the resolution requiring a recount for the August 2nd, 2022 primary election. By adopting the resolution, we are certifying the fact that we are requiring a count and authorizing the city attorney to file the necessary petition in the Superior Court, accompanied by the said facts or for a recount by the Pinal County Elections Department. I'm asking, staff is recommending adoption of the resolution so that the 2 candidates can be placed in the recount, which is Adriana Saavedra with 706 votes and Shane Leonard with 704 votes. We can entertain any questions you may have.
Mr. Fitzgibbons, I guess the only question I would have is this, I guess this is the legal way to do it.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Technically, I think when we did the math on what got us to a recount, the number is really, I think, about 1.48. And so through this resolution, I think council's saying we're going to round up to the next whole number. And that's what gets us to the recount between candidate Saavedra and candidate Leonard. Candidate Kaufman had 3 votes more than Leonard, and that's why these 2 candidates are going to the recount. The statute doesn't specifically say you have to round up, but we thought it was better we thought it is fairer that we rounded up and went to the recount for these 2 candidates.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Dennis, so if they do a recount and it comes back 706 and 704, the candidate that has 706 are going to be put on the general election, is that correct?
Yes, Councilmember Hudson, that's correct.
Thank you.
Is there anything else by anybody? Okay, then I guess I need a motion to act.
Mayor, if there's no further discussion, I make a motion we approve Resolution 22-15 as read.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Norma?
Councilmember Daniels,
Yes.
Councilmember Kaufman,
Yes?
Vice Mayor Hudson,
Yes.
Councilmember Henry,
Yes.
and Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you.
The only thing I would say is there's city councils all over the county going through doing this, and I don't know how many of them are, confident in some of the results, but they are what they are. The county's already certified them, so. Okay, a report from the mayor and council. Councilmember Daniels?
I have nothing, Mayor.
Tina?
I have nothing to add.
I don't really have anything to add, but, Rick, I was just wondering if, I noticed that when the mayor talks, his mic goes in and out, and that mic does too. So maybe we should have it checked out, so that there's not that, silence, I guess, or whatever, whatever you want to call it. And then Ricky, can you get with, Councilmember Daniels and I on the date for, your applicant for Parks and Rec? I can talk to you about it after real quick. Okay.
Nothing to add, sir.
I asked you and you don't have anything to say. Okay. Vice Mayor?
I'll
Vice
wait till
Mayor?
you skip me next time.
Okay. Rick, you got anything?
Just one thing, Mr. Mayor, members of council, I've been working with Tom Scott, with Ricky LaPaya, with Ben Navarro on a special day that's coming up, September the 10th. It's kind of a National Day of Service. We've been working on trying to promote that day, and we're going to be sending out some invitations to local community members to come out and help in some of our local parks, doing some painting, and doing some other things where people can provide service. This is kind of a program that's going on throughout the country. I know Casa Grande's doing some things up on Casa Grande Mountain. We're gonna be fixing up some of our park areas with some paint and doing some other projects that community volunteers can participate in. So we'll be putting some information out on that. And with that, Mayor, I don't have anything else.
Thank you, sir. And that's quite a crew. That's quite a little crew that you have gathered.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a good group.
I don't have anything to say. That kind of took my breath away hearing that group together. Okay. Then I need a motion to adjourn.
So, second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming.